So you want to become a YouTuber. There's a lot of things to learn. You need to learn about video editing. You need to learn about the games you play. You need to be able to make entertaining videos, tell stories. You need to analyze data and make good conclusions and good thumbnails and titles and combinations. You need to be a jack of all trades, but technically you don't really need to be the master of any of them. There is one element though of a YouTuber that's crucial. And if you don't have this one element, your success of a YouTuber is going to be limited. So when I say YouTuber, I'm not referring to some guy who uploads a Minecraft Let's Play every now and then, or some guy who uploads a meme video with flags on people's faces every now and then. I'm talking about someone who wants to eventually become a full-time YouTuber. So what is that one element that will prevent you from becoming a full-time YouTuber if you don't have it? I refer to it as the grind. Now, the grind is a thing you do. It can be seen as like a mindset. To be fair, it's difficult to teach the grind. You can be aware of it, be aware of its happenings, and be aware that you are in the grind or not. But it's kind of hard to teach someone to be able to do the grind. The grind. Oh my God, I love that. I love how it's pixelated and it's stretched. I love that. So, on a daily life, for us to succeed at doing anything, we need to find some enjoyment in it. So let's just give an example. But let's talk about doing laundry. Now, doing laundry, for the most part, isn't very fun. However, there's some reward to having nice clothes. You look prettier, you become more attractive, people respect you more. There's reward into making yourself look good by doing your laundry, right? You get paid off with dopamine for the reward of looking pretty, right? I personally get a lot of enjoyment from cooking. I think there's two things with cooking that's fun. One, you get to eat the finished result. So unless like a piece of art that you have to paint and spend a lot of time and energy into, you spend a very short amount of time cooking, but you get the payoff at the very end of it. You get to enjoy the delicious flavors, and you have to do something that's part of life anyway. With a portrait, you put it on your wall, you get to look at it, you get some satisfaction, you painted a piece of art. You don't get to eat it, and eating is quite fun for me. As you can probably see, I'm a chunky lad. Give another example. Exercise. Going out into the great outdoors and touching grass. But exercising is kind of like doing your laundry in a way. You initially don't really get rewards from it immediately, but you potentially can have more cardiovascular health. Potentially you keep the weight down. Potentially you have better long-term health. Therefore, you have more long-term benefits in the long run. But the short term is kind of all downsides, really. You have to go outside, meet people. You get sweaty, you're in the sun. There's lots of downsides to it, but you have to think of the long-term benefits of that. All these things have something in common. And another example is like, for instance, playing mobile games. They constantly give you like a drip of dopamine for doing certain rewards and doing dailies. And eventually those rewards will give you that little bit of a feel-good feeling from the dopamine release to continue to do those good rewards. All these are kind of more long-term things. You got to do these part of your life anyway, regardless. And when you do these things, eventually you run up to a certain reward at the very end and you benefit from them, which will give you a release of dopamine, therefore let you know you are potentially winning. One thing is very common though among young people and people who experience ADHD, but it's not universally for people who just have ADHD, it can be affected to a lot of other people as well, is that you tend to have a very, very short attention span. If you don't initially get a relief, a benefit from doing a said thing, you don't really want to continue doing it. And I'll admit, me in my early 20s or as a teen, I had an incredibly short attention span. If I wasn't getting instant gratification and instant fun from doing a said thing, I just didn't want to do it. Well, YouTube is a bit like that. You don't get a lot of gratification from YouTube initially. Sure, you've got a piece of art that you've created that's similar to painting something, and you get a finished reward for uploading it. But then the problem is if you don't get the views that you like from that video, you don't get the dopamine drip, so therefore you lose that satisfaction. The grind is a mindset of continuing to record videos to eventually work towards that long-term goal for that long-term payoff. And unfortunately, the problem in a lot of today's world is a lot of mobile games and TV shows and TikTok, for instance, is very short form, gives a big payoff initially, and you don't really have to work for that long-term reward. If you want to be a successful YouTuber, you have to adopt the mindset of the grind. You need to upload 50 videos, regardless of their performance, and then look back on those 50 videos and see what you did wrong and what you did right, and then learn from them. The truth is, whenever someone approaches me, they want to collab with me, and they say, I want to love to collab with Feedback Gaming. I want to play a video with it. And I'll say, do you know what? I will collab with you. Make me 50 videos first. Because I always bring up their channel and they always have like 2 videos, always like Minecraft videos or a Hoi video or something. Come back to me when you have 50 videos. And then I will definitely 100% shout you out on my community page. I will promote your content if you've made 50 videos. Maybe they upload 1 or 2 videos after that, but then stop. They've not got the grind mindset. At the end of the day, you need to grind those videos out, get to a certain place where then making videos is natural to you, it's part of your life, and therefore you can eventually grow from that place onwards. And when you reach 50 videos, which I'll admit is rare. But at that point, you don't even need my shout out anyway, because at that point, you've started to spot patterns of what the viewers like to watch. You get to better editing style where you become your own kind of content. You're not really copying other people's work anymore. And then at that point, you have actually become a YouTuber and you have adopted the grind completely. One of the downsides of YouTubing is you might find that you're quite young, which is quite common, I guess. And because you're not getting that constant release of dopamine, you're not hooked up to the dopamine drip, you don't feel like it holds your attention span so far. So you keep to jump between different games over and over again. And that is, on the long run, toxic. Because eventually you'll never find the audience that will find you, and then eventually reach the point where you're actually making enough money on YouTube to actually do it full time. I don't have many examples of this, but there is a guy on my Discord, and I like to think that he's an example of someone who can adopt the grind. I knew this guy before he made his YouTube channel, and I gave him obviously lots of advice, information, things he'd picked up from what I've told him. By the way, I'm not trying to take his success and say that he owes me anything. He owes me nothing. All of his grind here, all of his success is 100% owned by him. But all I'm trying to say is I gave him lots of advice, lots of information to help him prop his way up along the way. And eventually he's reached the point now where he has uploaded 50 videos, and he has reached that point where he has adopted the grind, and he has now become a YouTuber. All right, it's not full-time as he currently has it. Probably needs to find maybe a workflow where he can upload more frequently. But for the most part, this is an example of someone who has become a YouTuber due to that mindset. Florius, the Austrian, the videos he's producing recently, the video editing style is absolutely brilliant. I think for the most part, he's got the mindset of a YouTuber. He's got all the advice of a YouTuber. I don't think he's fully adopted the grind yet, because as you can see, there's not 50 videos here. Once again, you need to constantly be uploading, constantly keep pushing out those new videos. There isn't a right number of videos to produce. It's the enough amount of videos that will get you views. And eventually, if you keep uploading, you get to your 50 videos, you eventually start to see patterns in what videos gain you the most views over time. I wasn't going to mention this guy's name. Goated, I think for the most part, makes absolutely fantastic videos. He is a really, really, really good YouTuber. However, Goated has the problem where he can't adopt the grind mindset. Unfortunately, he needs that constant reinforcement of dopamine to constantly tell him he's doing well. For a YouTuber that started off with very few views to get like 100k views here, 500,000 views on this video here, he has proven success, and he knows how to make a good video, and he knows how to tell stories, which is very difficult, by the way. I'm really shit at telling stories. Goated is way better at writing stories than me. However, Goated does not have the grind mindset. In brief, the grind is the ability to constantly work towards a set long-term goal without immediate satisfaction. If you're able to do that, you will become a YouTuber. Here's an example of someone who doesn't have the grind. Someone who loads up Steam, plays one game for 10 minutes, and hops onto another game for 10 minutes, then hops onto another game for 10 minutes, hops onto another game for 10 minutes. Someone who can't watch a video longer than 2 minutes long because they haven't got the attention span. These are all examples of people who would not be good YouTubers because they don't have the ability to work towards that long-term payoff. But just understand from my perspective, if you haven't got the grind mindset of a YouTuber, I don't think learning Adobe Premiere or DaVinci Resolve, learning how the video or the YouTube dashboard works, looking at 100 videos on how to become a good YouTuber is going to be worthwhile to you if you just don't have the ability to get over that. And to be fair, I can agree with you because I was that person when I was younger as well. When I was younger, I didn't have the ability to hold my attention span for long periods to be able to be a YouTuber. Hence the reason why it was so much older in my life that I actually started to do actual YouTube. So my chat here says, it's very interesting points you make about work ethic, but how would you recommend maintaining it? Do you know, I don't think I have an easy answer to that question. If I could go back in a time machine back to me in my late teens, early 20s and say to myself, I would say work towards long-term goals, sort out the little things in your life, and then things would get better. But that's such generic advice. I think life has a lot of noise. Examples, if you don't sleep well, you don't work out, and you don't maintain basic hygiene, eventually these things create more noise in your life. One of the big things for me was finding a diet that I could eat regularly that didn't upset my stomach, therefore didn't make me tired earlier than it needed to be. I feel like diet, sleep, and exercise are the most fundamental things you have to fix if you want to hold and maintain a high energy level and to also maintain consistency and maintain the grind. The grind isn't just how I can work towards long-term goals, but the grind is also a lifestyle. You have to find your own way to the grind. I think so, yeah. Overall, one of the issues that I run into quite frequently is that I find a lot of foods react to me quite badly. I get a lot of bloating. I feel kind of ill when I eat certain things. They make me bloat, they make me tired, and I don't feel very well. If you wanted to, for instance, instance, improve your ability to concentrate and not have brain fog, maybe cutting out those foods might be a good idea. But you need to find your feet. And I didn't really find my feet until I left home from my parents and I could live by myself. I can eat what I wanted around the clock. Then in that situation, I can have more full control and actually know what I'm actually eating. For me, food was probably the biggest thing. Food number one, then exercise and sleep with the next one. Exercise and sleep together, because if you don't exercise, you don't sleep as well. And if you don't sleep as well, you don't exercise. So they kind of come in a big circle, you know. I do think self-help, though, needs to be specifically tailored to the person. I think some people do benefit from waking up super early by setting an alarm at like 7 a.m. However, I'm the opposite. If I don't get enough sleep and I artificially wake myself up, I like to listen to my body and say that I need that extra sleep. And if I don't get that extra sleep, I feel grumpy and tired and sluggish and I get brain fog. So therefore, I always want to just wake up when my body wants to wake up. Some people will say that when they oversleep, they feel tired. And if that's the case, you need to adopt to how your body likes it. I think the most simple form of therapy that people do on a daily basis that don't even realize it is just talking to their parents. I can show you the supplements that I take on a daily basis if you want. I'll admit, I don't usually take them every day because I usually forget. But we have Gentle Release Iron. We have omega-3s. It's a vegan omega-3. I don't like the fish ones because they can have heavy metals in them. Vitamin D, the vitamin K3, which is like from mushrooms. It's not from fish. We have B12 as well. It's a very popular deficiency in the Western world as well. Vitamin B12. What kind of exercise do I do? This is going to sound really boring, but walking is a good place to begin. I guarantee you, if you walk 10K steps today, you will sleep better tonight, guaranteed. I do high intensity interval training, but since I've been dieting recently, I've not had the energy for it. High intensity interval training is where you go really fast on like an exercise bike for like a minute, and then you rest for a minute, really slow pace. I'm very careful about what breakfast I have on a morning as well. I've noticed breakfast can really affect your day. There's like three or four schools of thought on this. So there's no breakfast mornings, okay? Potentially it's hazardous because you can get low energy levels in the day and then you kind of potentially can binge at dinner time. And I did used to do that too. No breakfast, lunchtime, 1 or 2 o'clock, eat a very large meal. And because you've eaten so much, you feel very bloaty and you feel kind of tired, a little bit dreary. So then you kind of erase off the rest of your day and you can't be productive for the rest of your day. So I don't recommend doing that. Alternatively, you have a breakfast, okay? But then you got a lot of bad breakfast options. Like for instance here, we've got a fried breakfast. Very high in oil, can also make you feel lethargic and also quite high calories as well. Cereal is a popular breakfast option. There's actually some really good brands of cereal that are not super high in sugar. But the problem with sugar, if it's not paired with fiber, is it can like spike your insulin levels really high, your sugar levels in your blood really high. Therefore, you have a crash around about lunchtime. And therefore, you're on a roller coaster of sugar highs and sugar lows, which isn't really a good idea. So probably if you had like eggs and toast or something, that'd probably be good for you. Or eggs, beans on toast or something like that. Oats as well. Oats are such a great source of energy levels, but they bloat me as well. The breakfast I have on a morning usually is rice porridge. I know this is like commonly eaten in East Asia quite frequently. You can find it in the gluten-free aisle in supermarkets in the UK. It's like a rice porridge. And usually in my oats, I usually have like figs chopped up. I have like frozen blueberries usually. You usually have some seeds like sesame seeds or something like that. Something that gives it a kind of a crunch and makes it tasty. If you find a meal that you can have on a morning that 1, you enjoy, 2, it fills you up, and 3, it keeps you going during the day, I think you've won. You've won at life. Because I find the most productive time of the day for me is the early morning when you first wake up till the first lunchtime. That is like the most productive point of the day I'm ever at. I suppose the only thing I'm really adamantly against is no breakfast at all. I think that's a really bad start to the day. I think measuring food is like a big deal. That's one thing I notice when I ever want to lose weight or count calories or anything. You need to be able to know how much you're putting on. And there's 2 things you need to be very careful with: sugars in liquid or granulated form, and also oils. Those 2 are so madly high, densely calories. So just be so careful how much you put on. 80% of the eating is due to boredom, not hunger. 100% agree. I think there's 2 elements. There's 1, being hungry, 2, boredom, but there's also a third one. It's where you're riding the yo-yo of sugar levels. So if you're having like a potentially really bad diet, so this is the morning when you eat here, and you're eating something you shouldn't really be eating, like pastries, sugary things, treacle, all the super sweet things, processed food of some kind, and your insulin level spikes. If you're constantly eating bad things, you're constantly hitting the yo-yo of sugar levels bouncing up and down over and over again, and you tend to find you'll be eating more because of that. But if you do eat like whole foods, you tend to find that they don't spike your sugar levels the same way. This isn't the kind of video I usually make. It went a bit weird. We're talking about the grind on YouTube, then moved towards food, motivation, building good habits and whatnot. If you guys want to see more of this kind of content, or if you got any good advice that would work for you, hey, feel free to comment below. And if you want more of this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want more content from Feedbot IRL, the best content, what I've heard, give this one a go. This is the next video.